Well, hello there, my spooky friends. If this is your first time to my channel, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Emily, and it is Sunday, so that means we are diving right on into another Spooky Sunday. So it is Halloween weekend. I hope that if you went out, you were safe and had an amazing time. I hope that you had an awesome costume. Please let me know down in the comments if you did go out, what kind of costume did you wear? I'm not really the kind of person that goes out on Halloween. I'm more of like a sit in bed and dream about eating quesadillas kind of person. So I'm not really the person that goes out and dresses up and whatnot, but I can admire other people and admire their costumes. And from what I've seen, it looks like everyone was super glam and super dressed up, and it just looked like a lot of fun. But for this week's Spooky Sunday, we are just going to be hopping right back on into an article that I found last week and that I touched on last week, and that was real life events that inspired horror movies. And I thought this was such a cool idea. As I said in my last video, I took this inspiration from Top 5s. He basically did the same exact concept, just completely switched. So horror movies that inspired real life killers. So as per usual, I will have his channel in the description box down below, so please do check out his videos as well. And I will have last week's video if you did not get a chance to check it out. But we are going to be hopping right back into the article here. I believe that I read off 4 or 5 of the real life events, and then I got too scared because I'm a total weenie like that, and I had to basically shut my camera off and go to bed because it was super late at night and we were getting up to one specific topic that we're going to start out the video with, and it is one that scares the crap out of me. So without further ado, let's get right on in. So this topic is called Child's Play, which might be familiar for some of you guys. It is Chucky. But for me, it's not the Chucky doll that's scary, it's the real story. The movie franchise featuring the murderous doll Chucky drew inspiration from Robert the Doll, a toy formerly owned by a boy who would later become the famous painter Robert Eugene Otto from Key West, Florida. Voodoo cursed with an evil spirit, Robert was given to Otto by an abused female servant seeking revenge against the family, or so the story goes. Servants, neighbors, family, and friends then began reporting bizarre incidents with the doll. For one, Otto's parents claimed to have overheard Robert talking to their son. Others reported seeing Robert blink, laugh, and walk around the house. And then there were nights when Otto's blood-curdling screams brought his parents into his room. Awaiting them was knocked over furniture, their crying son, and Robert's beady-eyed gaze. Even when Otto grew up and locked Robert away in the attic, visitors still heard the doll's footsteps and laughters through the floorboards. And despite being under lock and key, Robert escaped several times. He was found on several occasions sitting in a rocking chair elsewhere in the house. After Otto died, Robert eventually made his way to the Fort East Martello Museum, but to this day, the doll has not relented in his reign of terror. Jill Schenschel, a staff writer for The Record, penned an article last year about the exhibit and concluded the piece with an eerie account of how her camera stopped functioning after taking pictures of Robert the Doll. So that is the true story of the Chucky doll and the movie Child's Play and the entire franchise. Now, those movies, I believe, are supposed to be like horror comedies, so they're kind of scary and gory, but then also they're kind of funny. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think I've heard that a couple times. But the actual story of Robert the Doll is really freaky, and one thing that this article didn't mention is that even if you like make fun of Robert in your head or make fun of him verbally out loud when you're not even next to him, people have reported feeling like people are watching them, reported getting stomach aches, feeling sick, getting headaches after even thinking about him. People who have been in his presence get sick as well. They get stomach aches, they get basically headaches as well. Some people have even gotten into car accidents after making fun of Robert the Doll, and people are always writing him letters after going to visit him in the museum that he's held in right now. They're always writing him letters saying, "I'm so sorry that I made fun of you, I'm so sorry that I thought bad of you," when they were in his presence, because I guess he has some type of manipulation or some kind of power, if you will, to be able to basically make your life a living hell until you apologize to him if you think anything bad about him in his presence. A lot of people, like hundreds of letters, have come in to Robert the Doll. So yeah, I'm pretty scared of him, and I don't like to think about it too much because it freaks me out a little bit. But fun fact, I really love Eden the Doll here on YouTube, and she actually got her name from Robert the Doll, which is kind of funny because she's freaking gorgeous and just a perfect little angel, and Robert the Doll is, well, I'm not gonna say anything bad about him, but you see what I'm saying here. So that was actually the last topic that was on the article, and I guess I could have just finished it out last week. I guess I was just too scared to even look down and finish the rest of it. I saw the picture of Robert and I was like, oh hell no, I'm going to bed. So I decided to pull up a story that a lot of people know and a movie that a lot of people have seen, but may not know the actual real story about, and it is also a very creepy doll, which of course is Annabelle. I mean, it is Halloween season, we might as well just go there. So Annabelle is a movie that came out a couple of years ago, and I believe it's had a sequel as well, and it's a part of the Conjuring franchise. But what a lot of people don't know is that Annabelle's actually based off of a real story, and just like Robert the doll, the real Annabelle story is like 10,000 times scarier than the dumb movie version. So without further ado, let's get to know Miss Annabelle here. Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll who is said to be haunted by Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are very, very famous demonologists and paranormal investigators. They are actually the main characters in the entire Conjuring franchise. So I've actually never seen any of those movies, but I freaking love Ed and Lorraine Warren, so I kind of want to. I also kind of don't because they look really scary, but I digress. The doll resides in a glass box at the Warrens' Occult Museum in Monroe, Connecticut. According to the Warrens, a student nurse was given the Raggedy Ann doll in 1968. They say the doll behaved strangely and that a psychic medium told the student that the doll was inhabited by the spirit of a dead girl named Annabelle. They say the student and her roommate tried to accept and nurture the spirit-possessed doll, but the doll reportedly exhibited malicious and frightening behavior. This whole story gets really, really crazy, so I'm just warning you. It was at this point that the Warrens say that they were first contacted, and that they removed the doll to their museum after pronouncing it demonically possessed. The real Annabelle was given to Donna, who was a student nurse, as a birthday gift from her mother. One thing to remember, Annabelle was bought secondhand from a hobby store. She was living with her friend Angie at the time, and Donna was delighted with the gift. Of course she was, at first, but the doll quickly became a great source of fear for the girls. Annabelle made only very small movements to begin with that could be put down to Donna and Angie accidentally moving her. For example, ending up on the floor instead of on the chair. Maybe she just fell off. Soon though, the movement started to increase and the doll started to move more. For example, she may have ended up on the side of the couch instead of on Donna's bed, or outside of Angie's door immediately after she was returned to Donna's room. Their close friend Lou was very nervous of the seemingly innocent Raggedy doll. He believed that she was evil or possessed and that something needed to be done about it. But Donna and Angie were very progressive in their views and didn't think that any sort of thing like that would happen, and believed that perhaps they were to blame for the movements of the doll. But the Annabelle doll story quickly became more sinister. Soon the girls started to find notes around their apartment. The strange thing was that these notes were written on parchment paper, and neither of the two girls had ever used parchment paper or even had it in their apartment. The notes said various things, but most commonly they said things like "help Lou" and "help us." Finally, the doll from The Conjuring, Annabelle, was found with blood on her hands. Donna came home from work one day and found the doll in her usual spot on her bed, which made a change, but unfortunately she had literal blood on her hands. Or at least it seemed almost like blood. Or the red liquid, whatever it was coming from the doll itself. That was it. It was time for the girls to call in some help in the form of a medium to find out just what was going on with this doll before things got worse. The first medium sat down with the girls and Annabelle, and the story that Donna and Angie were given was that the land on which their apartment complex was built used to be a field. A young girl aged around 7 years old was found dead there many years ago. When the doll came into their apartment, Annabelle's spirit was still in the area where she died, and because she was fond of the doll, her spirit became one with it. Annabelle became Annabelle the doll. Unfortunately for the girls, Annabelle became Annabelle the haunted doll. Donna and Angie were very loving and giving, however, and because they felt sorry for the poor girl that was found dead alone in the field, they wanted the doll to stay because they didn't want to leave her alone. So through the medium, basically Annabelle told the medium this story and asked the girls, hey, I'm just a little girl. I'm not going to cause you guys any harm. I just want to hang out. I just want to chill here. I like this area. I like the doll. I like you guys. Can I just chill here and kick it with you guys and we can all just coexist together? And the girls, being very giving and, thoughtful for this poor little girl spirit, said yes. So they basically gave Annabelle the okay to be there. They literally had like an interaction together and said, yes, you can be here, which is a very, very bad thing to do. So the girls were pretty content with the fact that they let the spirit in and, gave it the okay to stick around. They just thought that this was going to be a little 7-year-old girl. What's wrong with that? Well, obviously something's wrong with that because this ended up being a crazy story. So let's get into Lou. Lou was the one who was first attacked by Annabelle before the Warrens were called in. Maybe she didn't like him, or maybe he was a reminder of a man who had treated her badly in life. But he was the one who she showed her true self to. A few things occurred, including some bad dreams and some visions of Annabelle, but the attack that made Donna and Angie call the Warrens was a physical one. Angie and Lou were spending some time in the room together when they heard movement in Donna's room, but she wasn't at home. They were frozen in fear. At first they were concerned about an intruder, but they quickly realized that the movement was in fact Annabelle. Lou took a look inside Donna's room and there was no one inside, although the doll was sitting on a chair instead of sitting on the bed where she should have been. He moved forward towards Annabelle and a feeling crept over him, the creepy feeling you get when something is terribly, terribly wrong. He felt a terrible pain in his chest and realized there was a series of claw marks, raking marks like someone had leapt at him and roughly scratched him. No one was in the room though, so he knew that the marks must have come from Annabelle. What was still strange about these scratches is that they healed straight away, and within just 2 minutes there was no trace of them at all. And that's when the Warrens were called in. A priest was called into the apartment along with the Warrens, and it was discovered that Annabelle's main goal was to take possession of Donna's soul. Annabelle was not a 7-year-old girl. She was a demon. And they often do this. They often pretend to be little kids, especially for people who are not completely aware of what might be going on and are not really familiar with paranormal stuff, if you believe in it, I guess. They will often pretend like they are little children, which is something that we see pretty often, and it's actually something that's very common amongst some really popular demonic possessions that a lot of people know about, like the Sally house. So basically the Warrens came in and realized that they needed to take Annabelle away from these poor people that were being tormented by this demon. This demon was literally trying to steal Donna's soul, which is not good at all, and Donna wasn't really prepared or really knew how to protect herself, so the Warrens ended up taking Annabelle away. Now on their way home, both Ed and Lorraine Warren agreed that it would be best for them to take back roads because they were really scared about what would happen if they went on the highway. They were really scared of this demon, they realized how powerful it was, and they knew that it did not want to be taken from the house. So they knew they had to be extra careful with it because some crazy shenanigans could have gone on. And sure enough, some crazy shenanigans started to go on. They were plagued with car problems the whole way home. The power steering failed, the brakes failed, and the engine of the car kept stalling. The problems did cease for a little while though, while Ed Warren sprinkled Annabelle with some holy water. So basically what ended up happening to Annabelle is that she was taken to the museum, and as you can tell and as you just heard, she did cause some problems getting there, and she caused some problems for people as well, but I'll get into that in a moment. But she's basically locked up in a cage now in like a little box, and it says positively do not open on the box. You are not supposed to open it. You are not supposed to really get close to it. It's very high up on the wall, and anyone who has gone in the presence of Annabelle and has made fun of her, has said, you know, hit me with your powers, punch me, do something if you're so strong, demon, basically has gotten into a car accident and has gotten very, very injured. I think someone's even died on the way home from insulting Annabelle. I just got so lightheaded saying that. Oh my god. That was really creepy, but I'm probably just freaking myself out here because it creeps me out quite a lot. But she basically is able to do harm to people if they make fun of her to her face. So if you ever are in the presence of her, if you ever decide to go to the Warrens Museum, please, please, please be respectful, because I wouldn't want anything to happen to anyone watching this who doesn't really believe in it, because you know, you might not believe in it, but it doesn't mean that something weird isn't going on with that doll. But those are the 2 doll-related stories that I wanted to bring you guys for this spooky Sunday. Dolls are really creepy, and they creep a lot of people out, and they're the main source for a lot of horror movies. But the one thing that people might not know is that a lot of the stories do really stem from real-life scenarios. So as per usual, please do let me know down in the comments, have you heard of these stories before? Have you seen the movies? I haven't seen either of the movies, but I've known about the stories for a while, and both of them were equally as creepy if you ask me. They're both very similar. But with that being said, that is going to be wrapping up this week's Spooky Sunday. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you did and you want to see more, I really hope that you consider subscribing if you have not already. I am doing Spooky Sunday every single Sunday, and during the rest of the week, I got all sorts of makeup goodness happening here on this channel. I do also hope that you consider giving this video a big old thumbs up and turning on the notification bell if you did enjoy it and you want to know when I am posting. But I hope you are having an absolutely amazing and beautiful and slightly spooky day wherever you are, and thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye!